Good afternoon. To talk about the power of discomfort, we have a little bit of a mystery to solve. You know Jensen Huang, the co-founder and CEO of Nvidia. He's the man of the day. Why did he say, "I wish upon you ample doses of pain and suffering," while talking to a class of Stanford laureates? I'm going to give you some clues throughout this presentation, and I think by the end of it, we will know why he said that. The first clue that I want to give you is that Tim Ferriss, Ryan Holiday, Naval, important Silicon Valley investors and thinkers and writers, they are obsessed with Stoic philosophy. And they love Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. And by the way, Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, right now, the current equivalent of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca are actually Jensen Huang or Jeffrey Bezos. And imagine for a second Jeffrey Bezos telling you to live a life without any comfort. Imagine them proposing the Stoic philosophy. So there's something there. There's other people, like researchers like Brené Brown tells us that within our discomfort, within our vulnerability, there is innovation, creativity, and change. I think they're all saying the same thing, and this thing is what I like to visualize as the gap. Now, I know that when you see a gap, you're tempted to build a bridge, or even better, if you're Super Mario, you can just jump to the other side. Well, for today, we dive into the gap. My name is Matteo Cassese. I'm a business coach. But more importantly, I spent a lot of time in the gap. The first thing that put me in the gap is actually my love of computers. I started loving computers when they were seriously uncool. The other thing is that as a kid, I liked books and learning how to program way more than I liked playing with other kids or going outside or playing sports. And finally, when my colleagues were looking for their girlfriends, I was actually chasing a boyfriend. So I spent a lot of time in the gap. And I think you've spent some time in the gap too. But just in case you haven't, or you think you haven't, let me play a little game with you. Can you check the time? I know it's late. Can you check the time for me? So as you check the time, you might have taken out your phone or maybe looked at your wrist. And on your wrist, there might be a smartwatch or a Swatch, or in my case, I have a Japanese watch, a Seiko, or you might have a Rolex on your wrist. What does that say? Are those things there just to check the time, or are they resolving a gap? And is that gap maybe about our identity? What I believe is that we are all living more or less through different gaps. For instance, marketing, the desire to get something, to buy something. This is a gap, and it's created by advertising, by branding. But as well, social media is based on gaps as well. So picture for a second a video of a kitten. The kitten is running in a corridor, in a home, on a slippery floor, and there's a corner. It's irresistible. We have to know, will the kitten crash or drift? She drifts. But we have to know, and we are constantly bombarded by gaps, and we need to fill these gaps. Storytelling maybe is the best generator of gaps of all time. For instance, right now, this weekend, Mission Impossible 8, can you believe it? 8 is going out in cinemas. Tom Cruise is reprising the role of Ethan Hunt, and is given a mission that is impossible. And we all know that the mission is possible. He's gonna solve it, okay? And we are suckers, and we are still gonna go to the cinema. And we're still, because we wanna know how. okay? We know that he's going to win, okay? We know that the bad guys are going to lose, but we still want to know how. Why are there two boxers inside the gap? The gap is all about a conflict. And since I know, the organizers told me this is the startup stage, and I imagine that quite a few of you are entrepreneurs, I'd really like to talk about a conflict that is going on inside of you. Who here is an entrepreneur? Just give me a show of hands. A few of you, okay, half of the room. All right, fair enough. So let's talk about this fight that is happening inside your heads. On one side, Yoda, magical, accesses the force, all about intuition. On the other side, Mr. Spock, live long and prosper, rational, a scientist. This conflict is happening in your head. So let me give you another example before I reveal exactly what the conflict is. You remember the X-Files? You remember Fox Mulder? I want to believe, right? The aliens are with us. In order to create a decent enough story, who was the counterpart for Fox Mulder? The scientist, Dana Scully. And she was representing the grounding, the thinking, the reasoning. These two figures are the representation for me of the philosopher and the opportunist. So on the side of the philosopher, we've seen Yoda. On the side of the opportunist, we've seen Spock. And I believe I am, and I believe that all of you are split in the middle between these two roles. And during the day, we play these roles alternatively based on what the situation is. And sometimes we mix things up. So the philosopher deals with ideas. I call him a myth maker, him or her, a myth maker. The opportunist deals with running a business, with operations. And the philosopher is all about intuition. I was watching this documentary and Chris Martin from Coldplay was talking about A Sky Full of Stars, the song, and said, and then a sky full of stars came to me from the place where songs come from. Intuition, we don't know a lot about it. We live with it, but we don't know a lot about it. The opportunist is very much grounded in rationality and in understanding where things come from. In fact, the opportunist is ready to react to information from the outside. Is the market changing? Is there a new opportunity? How is the campaign running? What are the results of the A/B test? The philosopher kind of knows things from the inside. It's not reactive, it's intuitive. And the type of thinking is completely different. One is fuzzy, the other one is linear. One has a unique idea, and the other one is looking for a repeatable way of doing things over and over again. If you read Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, you find this distinction there as well. The philosopher is quick thinking. For instance, at this conference, have you noticed that the most popular thing, the most resounding success is ice cream? Okay? There are incredible queues for ice cream, and there's, tech stands, etc. And the opportunist would say, come on, do some networking. Why would you queue? No, system one says ice cream is good. I want ice cream. Okay? And so when you see those queues, you realize that they're using a gap, which is the desire for something sweet, and that we are thinking with our quick brain. The slow thinking brain is building a spreadsheet in the meantime, okay, and trying to evaluate pros and cons, but the hunger wins on the other side. And the philosopher tends to be somebody who changes slowly, while the opportunist is ready. There's the results of the A/B test, and red is better than green. So team red, there it is, changing really fast. And finally, and I'm not saying that one of the two is better than the other, but the philosopher deals with the big picture, and the opportunist deals with the small details. Now, this conflict is happening inside of you. It's also happening outside of you. It's happening within your team. It's happening with your co-founder. A lot of miscommunication derives from the fact that one party is thinking about ideas and intuition while the other party is counting the numbers. And if we are able to bring these two energies together, we can do great things. The worst thing that we can do is to think and philosophize like doers, or to act like intuitive thinkers. And, well, this is a mistake that I personally made. And a few years ago, I thought that the solution for me, a coach, so somebody who needs to be focused on their craft, was in building systems. And I started building marketing systems for my business, and the result was very simple. A lot of lost money and a lot of burnout. Now, since this split, this conflict is so precious, because if we get it right, we can really reach some breakthroughs through this split. We have created a society and an economy to crush this conflict. So whenever you need to get somewhere, don't worry, give you an Uber, beep, 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 beep. You know exactly where it is. Oh, it's making a U-turn. Don't worry, I'll tell you exactly when it's coming. And if you need to buy something, don't worry, I'll ship it next day to you. And if you have a moment of free time, there's this story on Netflix, or there's this podcast that you need to listen to, or on YouTube. On YouTube, it's brilliant because it's informational, it's educational, but it's also entertainment, and it's sponsored by a VPN. So, wow, it's fantastic. And then, whenever you have a little sliver of free time, like a second of free time, why not doom scrolling, right? Because there's always an answer inside your phone. Just take out your phone whenever you have a moment of discomfort, and you can spend your life there. No, let's do something different. So, I want to put somebody else in the gap, specifically Carl Jung. Let me explain. A few months ago, I have this dream, and in this dream, I'm a public speaker. Okay, I'm boring. Okay, I'm boring also in my dreams. And in this dream, there are two candidates speaking. It's a sort of American bar, and we'll call the two candidates, let's say, the Democrat and the Republican. One speaks, lots of cheer and applause. The other speaks, lots of cheer and applause. And then I'm invited to speak. I'm invited to speak, and I give them another perspective. I don't speak against either side, but everybody is radiant and happy to hear these new ideas. So I've gotten into the habit of voice noting my dreams and feeding them to Claude from Anthropic. Let's face it, Claude is perfect for this type of work. It's the kind of the snobby intellectual of language models, the one with a suit and tie. So I have this prompt. It's a very simple prompt: act as a Jungian dream analyst. And now it has, I don't know, months and months of dreams. And I'm still groggy, in the morning before coffee. And there is this barrage of text from Claude, this and this, this represents this. And your speech represents Jung's transcendent function. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gotten myself into? Okay, besides the big word, okay, transcend in Latin, but also in English, it means to get over. So if I got angry at you, you would tell me, Matteo, get over it, transcend. But Jung's transcendent function is about something very specific, is about getting over the opposites. And it's the reason why, and it's the most important clue that I want to provide you with today. Now, to transcend, to get over the opposites, if the brain is holding two conflicting ideas, imagine that the brain thinks that I'm both a Republican and a Democrat. A third creative resolution has to emerge to keep the peace inside the brain at one condition: that we hold the tension. And that is exactly what we are not doing. And that is exactly the problem. And so the question is, are we taking the car or the plane? The answer is, we're swimming. So how does this play into our problem of the philosopher and the opportunist? Well, actually, if we keep the tension, we can access the transcendent function. Since transcendent is a pretty big word, I like to call it the third brain. So now you know that you can be happy in the gap, happy in discomfort. But I know you are human beings, and you are looking for a map. You are looking for an easy way out anyway, even if I've convinced you that staying in discomfort is the solution because you get illumination, literally, the transcendent function, the third brain. But you will want to ikigai your way out of the problem. You will want to business canvas your way out of the thing. And frameworks are nice and good, but if you apply an external framework to an existential problem like the one of the philosopher and the opportunist, the framework presents itself as a painkiller. What it is in reality is a sleeping pill because it turns off our intuition. So please don't framework your way out of these situations of discomfort. And I ask my clients, I asked Jen, who's going through the transition of selling her agency and starting something completely new. And I told her, what is it like to be in the gap? And she said, it's like going down the rabbit hole with Alice. There's the gold there. And I asked Sophie, who shut down her AI-powered SaaS business and now is working on something completely mission-based and building a sisterhood of powerful women. And she just said, opportunity, space, challenge, exciting, curiosity, all in the positive. So I beg you, I invite you to stop avoiding conflict. Conflict is a good thing, is the operating system of human existence, literally. If we allow conflict, I'm not proposing that we go at war with each other, but I propose that we voice out those moments of discomfort within ourselves, but with others as well. And we recognize that there is a philosopher and an opportunist. There is Yoda and Spock inside of us. And they're at odds. And it's not one is better than the other. They're just there. And they do us a great service. We can think and we can operate. It's beautiful. So stop. Please stop with these moments where you let go of the discomfort by filling the gap with information, with social media, with whatever it is, with whatever distraction. Stay with the gap because you can access your third brain. So I think at this point, I have given you enough clues so that you understand why Jensen Huang was inviting and proposing that people have more pain and suffering, and that allows me to also wish upon you ample doses of pain and suffering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matteo, for this both educational and entertaining talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to extend a special invitation because I know we'll have 11 minutes for questions, maybe less. I don't know. You be the judge of that. But we could have a Zoom call and continue talking about this in like 10 days, time to recover from GITEX. And I'd love to meet you and to hear from you because now we heard from me, but I'd love to hear from you.
Perfect. Yeah. Take the chance. We'll give you a couple of minutes to scan the code. And thanks again. Would you like to have a spontaneous question then by the audience?
Why not?
Why not?
This is a very smart audience. I'm sure they have smart, difficult questions.
Somebody? Who's feeling some discomfort here?
Thanks. What's the role of the time? How long you could stay that discomfort? Depends.
Well, if you're looking for illumination and you feel like being like the Buddha, you could spend your whole life. But we are doers, not just thinkers. And so I think we can start by embedding even 5 minutes when we don't react to the stimulus. So I'm hungry, I'm not going to go to the fridge. I'm bored, I'm not going to switch on the phone. It's starting with 5 minutes and then realizing what happens after the 6 minutes and the 7th minute. It's a little bit like meditation. The first time you meditate for 3 minutes. And then you say, no, I can't do this, it's possible. Okay, and then at some point it's easy for you to meditate for 20, 30 minutes, and in one day you forget to set the timer. You're welcome, thanks for the question.
Is there another question? Over here. Yeah, I'm going to hold it for you.
All right. I'm not going to run away with this question. Yeah. You're in conflict with me right now. We can be in the space in the middle and enjoy this. So, what happens to conviction? I get what you're saying. And I know this is where the creativity comes. You could be a philosopher or opportunist, a right mind or a left mind, and we can, scale it, cut it the way we want. But where does conviction play a role? Because that's also important.
Absolutely. That is another talk, and you can actually find that talk online. However, the philosopher is a high conviction part of the mind. And the thing about the philosopher is that the philosopher is totally convinced about her or himself. And they know that they have the right heart, the right intention. They don't know that they're doing the right thing. And the opportunist instead, the real opportunist has zero conviction. He's ready to change based on the input from the markets, from the customers, etc. And that's the beauty of it. Because if you're able to hold both positions at the same time, you can have super high confidence in yourself and super low confidence in what you're doing, which allows you to do the thing, innovate. Because nobody innovates with high confidence. We don't have any confidence about the future. And so this is actually the key of implementing the philosopher and the opportunist. So thank you for the question.
We've got time for one last question.
Amazing.
So normally we're used to build this bridge to jump over the gap. So is there any kind of like a trick to really go into the gap and not to like put out the smartphone if I'm bored, or to do something different to not go to the gap? Because we're normally used to it.
I know it would be fantastic, right? You could, I don't know, you could have a rubber band. You could have, I don't know, something, your cap backwards or something, some sort of somatic reminder of this. There's a million different ways that you can do this. I think the most interesting thing is just select some moments of the day where you're trying to be observant. You're not trying to act on it. You're just trying to listen to it. So for instance, going around the halls here, I had many moments where I was like, oh, this is overwhelming. And I was automatically taking out my phone. And I was I'm still doing it, but I was observing that, oh, look, I have a moment where I feel like I need to recharge my batteries. And I'm not going to a silent place and meditating for 5 minutes. I'm actually doing the wrong thing. I'm taking out my phone. So be gentle. That's my message. Be gentle with yourself.
Well, that's a perfect closing, isn't it? Be gentle. Well, thank you very much. Before we get into the discomfort of too much silence in the audience, thank you again to bring in, these philosophical questions to the floor. Thanks again to Matteo.
Cassese.
Thank you.